Hi everybody, it's Richard and I'm back for another video, and I'm back to talk about one of the fakest reality shows I think in the history of reality TV, and that is the Pawn Stars. Now, I used to watch the Pawn Stars, and I used to be a big fan of the Pawn Stars because I love collecting stuff. I love collectibles. I love collecting stuff. So I used to watch the Pawn Stars to see what people would bring in to the pawn shop. And I found some of the people that were in the pawn stores kind of entertaining, but now I found out they aren't really great people. They're not really good people. Plus, I'm not a big fan of Rick Harrison's politics at all. But this show is just so fake, and some shady stuff has happened behind the scenes. So I thought that I would talk about it. I watched the video the other day, and it gives account to everything that's happened behind the scenes, so I thought I would react to it and talk about the Pawn Stars. So let's get into it. Here we go.
Pawn Stars is the fakest reality show in history, yet somehow they tricked millions of Americans into watching 700 episodes over the past 15
Yeah, they did.
years. Fake customers,
Like I
fake
said,
conversation.
I'm not a fan of Rick Harrison's politics at all. But I used to watch this, and I used to enjoy it. And I liked Chumlee, but Chumlee turned out not to be a great person.
A fake store, fake items, shady experts with suspicious backgrounds to verify the value of those items. Even the image of the Harrisons being a humble, hard-working, blue-collar family is mostly fake. The TV show was essentially an extremely calculated and systematic distraction to prevent the sellers from realizing they were being borderline scammed.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they ripped a lot of people off. I remember I would watch some of these shows. I'm like, damn, you guys are really lowballing these people.
However, this system was built out of desperation because the cast we now know today was actually so unlikable in real life that nobody initially wanted to work with them. The show's producer, Brent
apparently the cast was so bad that nobody wanted to work with them.
Them. I walked out of the pawn shop and I said, I never want to go there again. These guys smoked, they were saying the same jokes over and over. I was actually the fourth producer to work with them, and so I certainly didn't think that was going to be a hit show. Additionally, pawn shops are not exactly a secret gold mine of treasure and rare artifacts.
No, they're not.
Most shops mainly make their money through loans given to extremely desperate people. Sellers will offer the pawn shop their lawnmowers, blenders, TVs, firearms, anything with a little bit of value. Then the shop gives them 25 to 60% of the item's resale value in cash, and the seller only has 30 or 60 days to buy the item back with interest. The average pawn shop loan value is 75 to 100 bucks, meaning these people are likely next to broke, struggling to keep a roof over their head.
That is really what happens with pawn shops. For the most part, I think.
Harrison, the main character and owner of Gold and Silver Pawn in Las Vegas, said, I think it's 20% of the adult population in the United States that does not have a bank account, and most of them can't get one. They don't have credit cards, they don't have anything like that for when some small emergency pops up. A lot of people don't realize that up until the 1950s, pawn shops were the #1 form of customer credit in the United States.
And I think that is true.
So it's safe to say a show about struggling Americans giving away their possessions for $100 out of desperation isn't exactly the most entertaining idea.
No, it's not. So they had to spice it up.
Was shot down by every major network.
Can you give me two?
No. What? I can do 120. It's the best I can do.
I'll pawn it for that.
One time, a guy bought a bunch of stuff at Walmart on his credit card. He brought it in here. His grandmother was in the hospital, and she didn't have insurance. I pawned him for him. And then he went out, he stayed up all night, he won $50,000, he came back, got the TVs back, took them back to Walmart.
So if the pawn shop employees were unlikable and the day-to-day business of pawn shops is low-key depressing, the show is dead in the water, right? Well, Rick Harrison was not willing to give up on the idea of him getting his own TV show.
I have a pawn shop on the strip, I was always like a medium, because that was like free advertising. So I'd always I'd put my It was the only 24-hour pawn shop on the Strip in Las Vegas. And,
Yeah, that's
some
another thing.
pretty
I've
much
never
Super
heard of a
Bowl
pawn.
racing, like-
Besides them, I've never heard of a pawn shop that was open 24 hours a day.
Yeah. So I used to put I put my Super Bowl rings on on eBay like a week before the Super Bowl. So then a bunch of reporters, radio stations and things like that would call me, and it was always free press, and it was always good for business. So 20 years ago, I'm thinking hey. If I get one of these reality shows, get a season or two, it might be good for business,
Ironically, the way Rick and Brent got their reality show was by completely distorting the reality of the pawn shop. Basically, they sold a lie, and the History Channel bought it.
Yeah, they
In
did. It was
2009,
all a
the
lie.
History Channel was looking for something different to boost its ratings, which got Rick and Left Field Productions a second chance to share their idea. But to work with the History Channel, Rick agreed that the show had to be much more family-friendly than the original concept. It started with the characters, focusing on 3 generations of the Harrisons. Rick Harrison would sit at the center of the operation, often being referred to as the genius. He would be tasked with spotting fakes, explaining the history behind the items, and keeping the family in line.
Back in the day, the Mint was always coming up with new designs. They actually tried to get a nickel into circulation, but that was a nickel, but it had a hole in the center, so everyone called it the Holy Nickel.
Rick's father, Richard Harrison, would take the name The Old Man. His role would be the no-nonsense...
The Old Man was always one of my favorites. When I used to watch this and was into it before I learned what a lie it was, he was always one of my favorites.
Patriarch of the gold and silver pawn shop. He comes in with stories about what the business was like back in the day and constantly reminds the guys that he is the actual boss.
You don't turn that car into a lowrider.
It's his car. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Well, it shouldn't have been his car. It was my car. I'm damn pissed I don't even want to talk to you.
To appeal to a younger demographic, Rick's son Corey, or Big Hoss, would work alongside his dad, learning everything he can about the business, only to constantly mess things up and make bad deals.
Test drive it?
I don't really have a lot
What
to
do you
say
mean?
right now.
No, I
Wait
didn't
till
test drive it. It's a Chris Craft. The thing's worth like 30 grand.
He doesn't spend that kind of money until he asks me first.
They also decided to include Corey's childhood friend, Austin Russell, or Chum Lee, who was essentially the comedic punching bag of the show.
Yeah, he was.
Find me some good deals on that stuff then.
What kind of percentage am I gonna get?
Your salary.
I got no problem taking my salary as long as it walks through the doors, but if I'm putting in extra work,
Extra work. You don't work to start with.
But it wasn't the characters that made the show successful. Even the producers knew that. I think people love stuff. The items are the stars. Don't
Yeah,
let
that
the
is
stars
true.
down.
That's why
People
I
really
watched
remember
it. I
when
could
you
care
bring-
less, but that's why I watched it. I like seeing the collectibles, seeing the stuff that would come in. But it was all fake. They scammed people. They scammed the customers, lowballed the customers. I mean, they did so much dirty stuff behind the scenes. That was all fake, and they just ripped people off.
Coke machine from the 60s and what it felt like to go to a Coke machine, and the great stories behind the stuff that you don't hear on other shows. On the show, people brought in gas masks for babies from 1938, ancient swords like katanas or Chris swords from the 14th century, helicopters, and ancient firearms used by naval officers and pirates. And despite literal treasure coming through the doors now that the cameras were rolling, the guys initially were so stuck in their ways that they refused to buy anything. Brent Montgomery told students at the University of Texas that this was one of the biggest hurdles. If you ever met those guys, I couldn't convince them to pay more for anything, but I did tell them initially to try and buy the stuff even if they didn't want it. If we had a show where they never bought anything, it wouldn't work well. This is likely what led to Rick's infamous lowball offers.
What were you looking to get out of it?
7 grand?
Ooh, 7 grand's not gonna happen.
Yeah, look, he loved lowballing people.
One time, Rick lowballed someone so bad, even his son Corey called him out. It started when a seller brought in a pair of 18th century onyx diamond spectacles.
There's enough stones and precious metals in them to make them worth a lot of money.
The customer said
So he
wanted
lowballed
$5,000.
somebody so bad that Corey called him out on it. He lowballed the guy so bad.
For the pair, but when Rick stepped in, he offered way less.
Generally, jewelry from this time period of this quality is worth a lot of money.
Good.
But technically, this isn't jewelry.
So what do you think they're worth?
$700 or $800.
Seriously?
Yeah.
The seller then adjusted his price per Rick's recommendation from $5,000 to $850, and even Corey knew they borderline ripped this guy off.
I feel a lot better about these now that my dad looked him over, but I think he might have lowballed a little bit.
And it's
Yeah, he
because
did.
of deals like this that Rick became a massive meme online. However, it was clear that Pawn
He's
Stars
a
had found
cheapskate.
gold. Their season 2 premiere drew 7 million total viewers, which drove the History Channel to become the #1 cable network for the night in total viewers, making it the highest rated telecast in the network's history. But ratings like this weren't the result of dumb luck. They came from a calculated design. And once you look past the dumb jokes, the humble family business facade, you start to see something else. A very controlled, very repeatable formula designed to get the best deals possible from the sellers. So
Just
let's
call
break
what it
down.
is. It's a
It all starts
scam.
with the
Just call what it is.
manufactured
They
image
scam people.
of the cast, which is the Harrison family. The producers have been very open about the fact that they cast blue-collar looking people to trick honest blue-collar people into thinking these reality stars are one of them. I always say we're looking for really smart people who look really blue-collar. Those are the casts that we've had success with. It's like when they put the average-looking guy with the really hot chick in the beer commercials, so you want to buy the beer so you can be as lucky as that guy. That's who we're looking to cast in our reality shows. So now that Rick and his family look like the people their target audience can trust, now it's time to control the environment in which the transactions take place. What you see on screen is not the actual pawn shop.
Yeah, I didn't even know this. The thing you see on this is all just fake. What you see on the screen when you watch the show, this is all just a set. There's 2 separate pawn shops. You got this big, huge one that you see on the show, and then you got a smaller one. But the one you see on the show, it's just a set. It's not real. It's just all set up. It's not even a real pawn shop. It's fake.
Silver Pawn had transformed from a small-time pawn shop into a full-on tourist trap. The general manager revealed that about 1 in 100 visitors to the Las Vegas pawn shop are actually there to sell an item. Otherwise, the staff typically shuffles tourist visitors out of the showroom when it's time to film. In response to Nevada's privacy laws and the increased traffic, the Harrisons couldn't continue to rely on their original shop. Instead, they worked with producers to make a separate showroom that was inaccessible to the general public. We got an inside look at this controlled environment when a
this was a really interesting video this guy did, and I watched it. If you want me to react to that video too, let me know in the comments, and I will do a reaction to this guy's video. But he showed you go in a room and they basically tell you what you can and can't do. There's a bunch of rules, and I mean it's just all a bunch of bullshit. This was all fake. They ripped people off. It was just a scam.
With a camera watch. Andrew Wilson uploaded a YouTube video detailing the process of him attempting to sell his vintage 1985 Rambo metal lunchbox. As he walked around, you could see the trusses above the fake shop with all the studio lights to ensure a perfectly lit set. From there, he went to an office in the backstage area where he met with a field producer who laid down some ground rules before they walked on set.
Okay, so this is when the lady comes in, sits you down, and says how things are going to go, what you can and can't do. And the biggest thing she says was you can't reference the show. You can't talk about that you're on a show. It's basically you're supposed to act like it's totally normal and you're not on a show.
Andrew and his
So
father
you're
openly
supposed to
admitted that
act
the
like
only
you
reason
aren't
they
on
wanted
the
to sell
show,
the
and you're not
lunchbox
supposed to mention the show. Okay, that's fair. Whatever. But the other stuff.
was so they could be on the show. But the field producer said that they can't do that, which meant they had to lie for television.
Would they actually say, hey, this is my dad's? Would they say, does he know you're selling it? Would they say anything like that?
I mean, I don't know. I think it's like, why are you selling it? Like, why are you selling it?
To get more points.
You can reference the show.
When he finally walked onto the showroom floor, Andrew noticed that all the customers were just extras, pretending to be paying customers, looking at all the items in the background. And listening to him interact with Corey and Chum-Li is way different than what you see in the final product.
Yes, it is.
Take that. Yeah, that's what they said.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Yeah.
I have a Rambo lunchbox. Original from 1985.
Rambo, that's awesome.
The matching thermos. Here, I'll show it to you.
It reminds me of myself. Just a real badass.
Yeah, same here.
So where in the world did you get this?
So he's recording this, and you can see all the lights and everything. You can see this is all just a prop. This is all just a fake set. None of it's real. And they're going to try and lowball him here, of course.
Oh yeah, go ahead. He gave it to me. He was a huge Rambo fan, huge Sylvester Stallone fan. He bought it back in '85, and he's had it ever since. And he gave it to me.
Okay. Definitely a sign of the times, man. I can't imagine sending my kid to school today with a lunchbox of a Vietnam vet who had severe PTSD and killed a couple cops.
And like I said, if you want me to, Andrew Wilson, if you want me to react to this whole video he did, let me know.
Makes you realize just how much editing goes into this show. You can even hear the producers giving notes to Corey on what he should talk about.
Yeah, they probably don't know any of this stuff. They probably have to look it up right before they do it. Like these facts they tell people about the stuff that they're selling. I bet they don't even know any of the stuff they say. They probably just look it up right before they do it.
Yeah, I mean, back then too, lunchboxes were kind of like your expression of who you were as a kid.
The awkwardness and the stiffness of the interactions is almost completely gone once you see the final edit.
At one point, Steve McQueen was going to play Rambo, Paul Newman was going to play Rambo.
Yeah, the edited version is nothing like what you actually see in Andrew's video. He was recording it on a watch, and I don't think they knew that. He probably would have been in trouble if they found out, but he was sneaky. He recorded on the watch. And the unedited version of what actually happens on when he actually goes in, the unedited version is so much more uncomfortable and like just uncomfortable than the edited version.
Pays for and produces
and the body language and
all the
everything.
stuff they're saying, like Corey and Shumlin are acting like, yeah, they did this, and this. You don't actually know these things. You looked.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Before we came out here, it's supposed to look like I just walk in and it's natural and everything. And for those of you who don't already know, it's not like that. This is done in multiple takes, and they tell you specifically what you can and can't do.
And in case you needed any more proof of how contrived these interactions really are, the producer, Brent Montgomery, admitted that the guys are not exactly the experts in history they are portrayed to be, saying, "We found really smart scripters to feed the characters."
Exactly. Another thing, the whole interactions between everybody, this is another thing. It's just so scripted. When it first started, it was more real, but then it just got so fake and so scripted too.
Organic information. Now, in this particular...
I mean, I know most reality shows are scripted, but they got really bad.
For instance, Andrew just wanted to be on the show. He didn't really care about making a deal, but that's not the case for most sellers, nor is it for the Harrisons. After all, they do actually have a real pawn shop with full intentions to buy and sell items for a profit, which is why the next phase of their system is a calculated scheme to make sure that they get the best deal possible. Now, about half the time, Rick, Corey, Chumley, or the old man will pretend like they have extensive knowledge on whatever item is brought in front of them.
I'm 99.9% sure it's real. I still have that chance that it's not.
The seller puts the item on the counter, and one of the guys will go into a history lesson giving all the relevant details as to why the item is interesting or valuable. However, the other half of the time, they will play dumb and admit that they know nothing about the item that is trying to be sold. But lucky
That's
for them,
another thing, yeah, these
100%
experts
of the
are
time,
getting
they have a
publicity too. So they're probably good. Yeah, they basically work for. Yeah, so they're gonna lowball people. They're gonna lowball people like Rick does. These appraisers to get publicity, to get people to come to their store because they're on television.
Don't miss your chance at our Apple cash jackpots with over $1 million paid out monthly only on the Hollywood Casino.
Have a buddy who specializes in the exact thing that they need more information on.
I got a buddy who works right down the street. I got a buddy who deals in all these antiques. I got a buddy who works right down the street. He's got a sports shop.
You got a buddy for everything, don't you, Rick?
With expensive sports stuff.
I got a buddy that's pretty good with stuff like this. Let me have him come down and kind of give me an idea of what they're worth.
Let me call somebody who will know everything about this. I got a buddy who all he does is like Hollywood memorabilia.
I got a buddy that works literally right across the street.
And this is the perfect trap. From the seller's perspective, that expert feels neutral. He looks authoritative. He explains the item's history, verifies if it's real, maybe even compliments it. But when they give the appraisal, they typically say something like, at auction, this might go for...
Yeah, exactly.
Almost
They
always a
lowball.
price that is far less than what the seller wanted. And now that the expert established the price, the seller now looks crazy for asking anything equal to or more than what they said. But even if the sellers remain firm in their initial asking price, Rick and the gang start talking about the risk, the overhead, paying employees, storage, the fact that it might sit on a shelf for months. Now the seller isn't negotiating based on what they think their item is worth, but rather they're negotiating based off if the buyer can make a profit or not.
I have to make money on this thing. I might get $4,000 out of it, but that's an auction. There's auction fees. It'll take me a year to get my money. I gotta spend money to ship it across the country somewhere.
Putting it already as well.
Yeah, it's $2,100.
And this system, 80 to 90% of the time, leads to the pawn shop getting the seller to sell something to them for far less than what they originally thought it was worth.
Yeah.
But in reality, these buddies aren't some objective third party walking
Exactly.
down the street, but rather someone coordinated by production who understands the show and who could get more opportunities to be on television if they excel at their job. Take Bob Uhas, for example, who is the expert they call on when they need to restore an automobile, antique toys, and vintage machines.
This is collectible because it's very rare. Done correctly, done nice. It's starting at $5,000 and up.
And like this,
You should be happy if you walked home with it for $800.
In
Not
our
only is
book.
Bob an expert when it comes to bringing discarded items back to life, but he is also somewhat of an actor who was in a couple episodes of American Restoration and Mystery Diners, a hidden camera show to gather evidence.
I did
of
like
theft
Mystery
or
Diners. That was a pretty cool
service at
show.
Restaurants. So he's not exactly a neutral third party. You can actually argue he is incentivized to give the Pawn Stars guys exactly what they want instead of maximizing the seller's potential payout, especially considering that in the clip I played before, the seller got $850 and Bob got paid $2,600 to restore the go-kart. It just seems likely.
So
that
he
if
got
Bob
paid $2,600 and he said it was worth $800.
does exactly what the producers want, he could get more screen time, which means more business for him. The private businesses owned by these experts or buddies benefit from the show so much, you'd almost assume that they have some sort of contract. And one of Rick's buddies may have accidentally leaked information we were never supposed to know. Sean Rich was one of the most well-known experts, appearing in over 50 episodes of Pawn Stars since it debuted in 2009. Sean is a master antique gunsmith, and he's usually called in when the guys need antique guns, swords, or other armory appraised. But when one fan noticed Sean disappeared and they had a few other gun experts on the show, they emailed him saying, "Why haven't we seen you on Pawn Stars recently? We miss you." Sean replied with, "Unfortunately, to make a very long story short, the production company and History Channel wanted me to sign an exclusivity agreement to lock me down, control me, my business, future."
So they're
my
basically
make a living,
controlling this
provide for
guy.
my family.
So they're basically controlling this guy.
And expect me to do it for free or very little money without any negotiation, with no guarantee of being used. Now, of course, Sean could be leaving out very important context. It could just straight up be a lie, or even a fan just making something up out of thin air wanting to stir up drama. But the idea of the experts having a contract with the show makes sense considering how much the show changes the lives of the experts. Jeremy Brown was the buddy they called in for anything related to sports memorabilia. He relocated his store, Ultimate Sports Cards and Memorabilia, just 1 mile down the road from Gold and Silver Pawn due to how much...
Yeah, apparently this guy got in trouble for fake stuff too. The sports memorabilia guy.
business the show was bringing him. However, there are countless negative reviews accusing Jeremy of selling fake cards, charging $50 to $100 more than the market rate, or extremely lowballing sellers. Wonder where he got that strategy from. Jesse Amoroso, owner of Cowtown Guitars, is the expert they would call in regarding vintage guitars. He also relocated his store to just 1 mile away from Gold and Silver Pawn. Unfortunately, he was also probably the wrong guy to platform. Cowtown Guitars permanently closed its business business operations after drowning in negative reviews, with multiple people calling Jesse a thief, refusing reasonable refunds, and providing horrible customer service. Even their professional sports authenticator, Steve Grad, who was in charge of authenticating all autographs on...
This upset me because I like Steve Grad. I do watch his channel, but apparently he...
sports memorabilia on Pawn Stars, got sued for approving numerous forgeries as legitimate. He then admitted in open court that he has never had any education or training from PSA with regard to how to authenticate signatures. He basically said in court that he learned everything he knows about this business from a buddy. Now, I'm not suggesting that all of the Pawn Stars experts are fraudsters. I'm not suggesting what they're doing is illegal or even deceiving, but it is highly controlled so that the house always wins.
Yes, it
and
is.
some sellers
Very,
suspect this and straight up admit that they don't believe the experts.
If you wanted to buy this, I'd pay no more than $600 or $700. This one, if you want one of these, I can get you one for $1,500.
No, they're worth a lot more than that. If you think you can find these on the internet for $1,500, knock yourself out, because it's not going to happen.
You tell them.
$1,000 for the coin.
Is this a real offer, or?
That's a legitimate offer, yeah.
That's not a legitimate offer. You're just using your position here, trying to buy something for below its market value.
1,000 maybe. So
That would be your
Sorry, I have to let my dog out.
maybe whining opinion. If I come back, it would be
Sorry about that, I'm back.
interesting to have the same appraisal guy. Sometimes I'd like to smack him, but that's just me.
But it took viewers years to pick up on this calculated system the Pawn Stars created to maximize their profits. The golden era of Pawn Stars is considered by most to be seasons 1 through
I would
6,
agree, 1
and a
through
lot of
6
that
was
had
the
to do with
best
the
one.
fact that everything looked more small scale and
That's when it
authentic.
wasn't
There
all
were a
just
few
fake,
big
it was
items,
actually about
but
the
they were
collectibles.
almost always rejected by the Harrisons for being too pricey or impractical. The History Channel had successfully made the Pawn Stars look like good, honest, hard-working, humble American underdogs rather than multi-millionaires who were ripping off honest people. And millions of their middle America fans cheered them on like they were rock stars.
We're basically here celebrating that Pawn Stars is going to Thursday night, and we got Leonard Skinner playing in the parking lot of the pawn shop. Congratulations on another great season.
But in the mid to late 2010s, even their fans stopped seeing them as a humble family business and more like ultra-calculated scammers. And once that illusion was broken, the personal lives of the Pawn Stars started to crumble. On June 25th, 2018, the old man passed away after a private battle with Parkinson's disease. His loss was a major blow to longtime fans of the show, and Rick Harrison
I did
worked
like
with
the old
History
man.
Channel to make a memorial episode to remember him by.
This pawn shop is more than just a place of business. There's a lot of memories here, and most of those memories are with my father. Got the privilege of working with my dad 5 days a week for almost 40 years.
The loss of the old man was definitely the first major sign that the show was on its last legs. His dynamic with Chum Lee was one of the few scripted interactions worth watching. From here, Rick had mostly given his role of the genius historian over to the large collection of experts, and Corey had pretty much checked out entirely, as viewers no longer bought the storyline suggesting he wanted to be the next big boss. Then again, even from the very beginning, he never looked like he even wanted to be there.
They probably told my dad I hate him more than I love him.
It's just stupid. It's really stupid. What about the other really bad tattoos you have?
No, the only chance I have, the only way I have to move up around here is one of them dies.
It's likely that the old man or the money they were making from the show is the only reason the family stayed together, because on screen you probably would have thought that it was this wholesome small family, but in real life was an entirely different story. Rick Harrison detailed a lot of the reality behind the scenes in his book Licensed to Pawn. In one of the chapters, Rick revealed that both both Corey and Chum-Li had battled meth addiction before being hired full-time. It also explained why the two struggled with weight throughout the series, as they used fast food as a way to avoid getting high. In fact, 2 years before the old man passed, Chum-Li was arrested in Las Vegas on felony weapon
Yeah, I remember
and drug
this.
charges.
Yeah, I remember
He was
this.
taken into custody when officers serving a search warrant in a assault investigation found methamphetamine, marijuana, and at least one unregistered gun at his southwest Las Vegas home. By some miracle and an expensive lawyer, Chum agreed to 3 years probation to avoid jail time and continued working on the show like nothing had ever happened. As for the Harrisons, life after the old man's death slowly turned into a nightmare in the press, especially in 2022. Although it had mostly been kept a secret, Rick had a long-standing feud with his mom.
I didn't know
Joan
about this.
Harrison,
I didn't
who
know
slapped
about
him with
this.
a lawsuit which states that when she and Rick's father, Richard Harrison, started the shop, she was given 51% of the ownership. After Richard died in 2018, his shares went to Joanne. In the early 2000s, Joanne was in the hospital and allegedly unknowingly signed away her shares to Rick after waking up from a coma. Additionally, she accused Rick of hiding details of her late husband's assets and failing to provide her with monthly allowances. To make matters worse, Joanne filed a temporary restraining order against Rick to prevent him from stopping the monthly payments to her and hiding any family assets. The restraining order stated, while Rick enjoys
that I
his
didn't know
comfortable life
about.
as a celebrity firmly in control of all the family businesses and finances, Joanne is left frightened and unsure of if she will have enough resources to pay for her considerable medical and personal expenses each month. And this only appeared to be the start of the Harrisons' family troubles. That same year, Corey was suspected of driving under the influence after allegedly swerving all over the road in an alleged relapse. While he would manage to walk out of jail 8 hours later, Rick's son Adam Harrison wouldn't be so.
Yeah, I remember this. This was sad. I do feel bad about this, that he lost his. This was really sad. I feel bad that he lost his son. This was really sad.
Lucky. Now again, if someone just watched Pawn Stars, you'd have no idea that Rick's family is much larger than it appears. In reality, the man
I
has
think
been
his son
married
Adam.
5
I think he passed away. I feel bad about that.
different times, with the latest wife named Angie Palushkin in 2026. From those many wives, Rick has had 3 sons.
I think that's about it. But yeah, I just wanted to do a video. Like I said, this show started out good. I don't like Rick Harrison's politics. Like I said, it started out a really good, interesting show. Even though they did really rip a lot of people off, they love to rip people off. It was interesting in the beginning, and then it just got so fake, and it got worse, and there was a bunch of shit that happened behind the scenes, and they ripped people off. So, yeah, it got really bad. So, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you're new over here, please hit the like and subscribe button, and please hit the notification bell so you'll always be notified when I do a new video or a live stream. Until next time, remember, peace and love. Peace and love is the only way.